Greetings everyone. Today I'm going to shift my topic to a history-related matter, which is propaganda used in war. Particularly, I'm going to talk about the propaganda used by the Japanese government during World War II. In my speech, I will show you various examples of propaganda methods used by the Japanese government in World War II, which includes newspapers, flyers, movies, radios, and etc. My visual aids will also help me identify those methods. At the end of the speech, you will have a brief understanding of different types of propaganda methods used by the Japanese during World War II, how it changed people's ideologies and beliefs, and ultimately how it served the purpose of aiding the war effort. Propaganda is a powerful way of uniting people and furthering a particular cause. It's a silent psychological weapon that targets human emotions, and it causes people to think things that they otherwise would not if not exposed to it. It could manipulate public opinion, help with recruitment, stir patriotism, advertise ideologies and beliefs, and provide the public with the safety information. War propaganda in Japan during World War II was widely spread by slogans, radios, films, books, and newspapers. It was designed to assist the current ruling government of Japan to persuade occupied countries of the benefits of the greater Asia co-prosperity sphere, to undermine American troops' morale, to counteract claims of Japanese atrocities, and to present the war as victorious for the Japanese people. To further explain this matter, I'm going to follow some timeline from the beginning of the war to the defeat of Japan in 1945. As I explain in details, I will show you exactly how propaganda machine was used in those various periods of time. After the attack of Pearl Harbor in 1941, Japan quickly occupied East Asia. To enhance Japanese economic control of the East Asia prosperity sphere and to provide vital resources to back up Japanese armies in the front line, Japanese propaganda machine used phrases like Asia for Asians and talked about the perceived need to liberate Asian countries from Western power. It emphasized the story of emperor. Glory of the emperor was personified the role of virtually godlike emperor. This is the particular flyer used during that time, which shows that to unite Asian countries under Japan to fight against the Western powers. In the first 18 months of the war, which the initial success of the Japanese military advances at its peak, propaganda were widely used to spread domestic excitement. The justice Japan's cause, the ability to defeat the enemies, Japanese people were made to believe that they had been forced in their nation by American economic policies designed to cripple Japan. Nonetheless, the government instituted rigid censorship and the state-controlled education system strengthened national spiritual mobilization. A lot of flyers were used to serve the matter during this time. This is a particular flyer used to stir public excitement, which actually shows one day Japan will invade mainland USA. The most famous Japanese broadcaster in the beginning of the war was called Tokyo Rose. She's a Japanese-born American educated woman who played on the homesickness of American troops serving in the Pacific by her suggestive voice and Western American swing music. This is a picture of Tokyo Rose after she was arrested in 1945. A lot of more expletive were there's another method used by Japanese to send out leaflets directly at the Australian troops, depicting the wives and sweethearts of various embraces of the drunk British and American troops stationed in their homeland. This is a flyer, one of those type of flyers, that shows the drunk American soldiers stole the Australian wives, which actually demoralized, causes angerness in Australia. The Japanese also used a method favored by the Russians, namely the prisoner of war broadcast, in which captured soldiers made unscheduled statements over the air or on TV on how well they were being treated. This is actually another picture showed by taken by Japan, showing how well the prisoners were being fed. and then see there's meat and coffee on the table, which actually demoralized American troops. There are also anxious relatives who were forced to listen to the entire program or TV in the hope of their son or husband might appear before the TV at some point. Um, After the Battle of Midway, the tide was clearly turning in favor of Americans. Although the strict censorship, the Japanese military government disguised its fact from a majority of the soldiers and civilians. Media reports drifted further and further from reality. It provided an illusion that the emperor's forces were in process of winning a glorious victory. It was the fanatism of those people, largely protected from outside influences until the Americans began dropping leaflets, let alone bombs over Japanese city, which shows the truth to the Japanese people. Most civilians were influenced with the information portraying Americans as cold-blooded invaders, and only Imperial Emperor being the savior. For example, after American captured the Japanese occupied island Saipan, the Japanese civilian population, 15,000, were severely influenced by government propaganda, which convinced them that capturing by Americans would result in torture and desecration. Although U.S. Marine interpreter on loudspeaker promised that they would be treated well, it was no use. Japanese women jumped off the cliff with their children in their hands, and most civilians on the island killed themselves rather than surrender. This is actually one of the picture taken on the island showing how the fearness in that woman's eye shows how effective this method has been. Throughout the war, Japanese soldiers fought fearlessly. The belief was that sufficient fighting spirit could overcome the enemy's material superiority. The Imperial Army had prided itself with the samurai fortitude of the men. They could survive and prevail on fewer provisions than the delicate Americans. It took 2 atomic bombs in the end to defeat Japan, but it's significant that their morale did not crack after the first bomb was dropped. Clearly, Japanese domestic propaganda has been effective. This is my view on how propaganda was used by the Japanese government in World War II. Thank you very much for listening to me.